The report also said the world's 10 richest countries saw a decline in their overall charitable activities in 2016, while the poorest continent, Africa, saw an increase. For more on this, I spoke to Adam Pickering. Adam is the International Policy Manager of Giving Thought at Charities Aid Foundation, the author of this study. I asked him why Africa saw an increase in charitable giving.
Difficult for us to speculate. Actually, we'd really like to see whether this trend continues year on year in terms of Western countries falling in the index. In terms of African countries rising, we can be a bit more bullish about that, I think. They've been rising slowly over the last few years, and actually this year a number of African countries have gone up by 5, 6, 7 percentage points. So that's a trend we're willing to back, probably because civil society is opening up, becoming more enabling, donors are becoming more interested in giving, but certainly we shouldn't be complacent. We want to encourage that.
Do you believe there is a direct link, Adam, between wealth and generosity, or is this really about spirit from what you've seen and the trends you've studied?
We think it's really about the existence of a culture of giving and also the existence of an environment that enables donors to give, to find out about charities and the good work that they do, whether there's a good regulatory environment in place to make sure that charities are well governed, all the things that kind of help people to know about charities and make it easy for them to give. That seems to be a prominent factor. Also, whether a country has a strong history and culture and tradition of giving. We see in many countries in the World Giving Index that are actually relatively poor countries, they perform very, very well. And there are a number of wealthy countries that don't perform so well. In fact, in the top 20 countries in the World Giving Index, only 6 of them are from the G20 club of rich countries.
As a global society, Adam, how do you think we strike the right balance between monetary donations versus our time, development, education, and so on?
Again, yeah, really interesting question. And look, different cultures of giving will dictate, and different contexts will dictate different levels here. So, you know, there may be countries where it's more appropriate for people for the mass population to engage in volunteering, where they may have less resources to give away. However, I think we would say across the board, people who give generously across all giving activities tend to be happier people. They tend to be part of more thriving communities. So we would really like to see people encouraged across the board. I mean, actually, in a number of transitioning countries, you see people working very long hours. And as a result, volunteering has been seen to dip as some countries reach a certain financial threshold. So that's something to keep an eye on. But certainly, we believe that, you know, a country with a strong and thriving culture of giving should see great scores across the categories.
What about our smartphones and the technology that they provide in giving? You've seen and witnessed the influx of messages that come in, text this number or that number to donate to this cause. Yep. How is that helping? Is there a way to measure the direct impact from that? So yeah, I mean, in the UK, we measure a lot of that in our UK giving polling, and in a number of different countries, there's research out there, often very good research, though. As with the World Giving Index, you know, we could do with much more research into this area. But we're certainly seeing a fairly slow moving, it has to be said, trend towards both mobile and internet giving, certainly in the UK, if we can take that as an example. But it'll be really interesting to see how that moves forward as we get a new generation of donors, particularly as people who are kind of native to these new technologies, particularly smartphones. They may prefer giving on their phone, and we may actually see whole new ways of giving. You know, there's exciting prospects in mobile crowdsourcing, but equally, you know, we have technologies that are much more on the frontier, such as blockchain technology that may be integrated. So at the moment, yes, we're certainly seeing a trend towards a lot of charities and campaigns seizing these new technologies, but we expect that only to advance at a greater speed in the future.